Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Steven Jarvis and Friends podcast featuring Mark Bensett Jr. I am, as always, your host, Steven Jarvis, and with me, your co-host, Mark Bensett. Hey, Mark, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
We are just waiting for Jason Brooks right now. We're going to be interviewing him on the success of Vengeance 2. So,
Bloodline.
yep. Oop, and I think he just showed up. Yes, he did. Hey, Jason.
Hey guys,
Hey,
what's
Jason.
up? Hey, how's it going?
Not
Good.
bad. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Bring this closer.
So, Vengeance 2.
Yes.
It's been a huge success lately. I watched it, had to watch it twice because been kind of under the weather. So the first time I watched it, I was sick, so then I fell asleep halfway through, and I told Mark, I'm like, I gotta watch it again. So I watched it yesterday, and just gotta say, I was blown away by how great it was.
Oh, thank you so much.
And we just want to ask you, what was the thought process in making a sequel to Vengeance?
Yeah, so the thought process is really I guess it was the fans wanted it. We were kind of tired from the first one and we weren't sure we were going to make another one, but people kept asking us and wanted it. So we got convinced to make it. And then the process of the story was really like, where do we take it from here? I wanted to kind of answer some questions from the first one that we didn't answer, talk a little bit more about Elias, give him more of a story and purpose for being there. Why is Elias there after 30 years? Where has he been? And what's his motive? Like, why did he come back? And then, of course, we had to find out what happened with Tommy Jarvis. What did the girls find him? They spent the entire first movie looking for him. They didn't find him. Kind of left that up in the air. So we had to put some closure on that as well. And that's what we had to wrap the story around.
That was one of my favorite things at the end. To bring Tommy into it all together, that was like, really good. I love that, especially when it was somebody said that there was going to be a surprise at the end, and I'm like, there can't be that many surprises. I'm like, I looked at Steven. I was like, Steven, they said that there's going to be a surprise. How much you want to bet they got somebody from the past movies to come back in? And I'm like, I didn't really expect Tommy because I've only seen him, do a couple.
Yeah.
But when I seen Tommy, I was like, damn, yes.
Yeah, us too. We were very fortunate that he liked the story enough to come and participate. And I talked to him, and the entire first movie, he was originally supposed to be a part of that first movie, but then he had to back out of it because of some other commitments. And so then I talked to him again. I'm like, I can't have a second movie where these girls don't find you. So they're either going to have to find you alive and you're a hero, or they'll have to find your body and you're dead. I just can't make a second movie where we don't put any closure on that. It just doesn't make sense.
I mean, you could easily have went without, having found them again, but then you'd have people ask him, where's the third one?
Yeah, where's the third one? And just it would really, I don't know, it'd be really difficult. So
it'd be kind of like, promising it, and then all of a sudden it's like what you guys both just said, where is he? Is he alive? Is he dead? And Tommy, you don't really hear much about Tommy in the original series after he, drowns Jason in the lake. Yeah. It's like he's never thought of again, and I thought that was a missed opportunity for Sean Cunningham and the creators of the original franchise. It's like, okay, so you built this guy up from a kid who kills Jason and is the first one to actually supposedly kill him, and you get rid of him after 2 other movies. It's like, what are you doing there,
Yeah.
So
trying to explore some new ground, I guess.
So how was it trying to get Tom Matthews back? Was it an easy process, or was it you need to kind of finesse him a little bit?
No, it was really that's hard to answer. We wanted him in there for a long time. Like I said, we talked to him the first one. He said he was in and had to pull out. But then on the second one, we didn't know where he stood yet. So I know that CJ talked to him a bit, and Tom McLaughlin, we want to get the band back together, everyone from Part 6, Darcy DeMoss and everything. And so I actually went down to Las Vegas to go talk to Alice Cooper, because Alice Cooper originally was going to be in there opposite of Tom McLaughlin as the one of those guys.
Yeah.
I would love to have seen that.
Yeah. So, but Rob Mello ended up having that spot, which was phenomenal. So I went to go talk to Alice Cooper and spoke with him. And when I left, and his agent was kind of like, yeah, no, we're touring this year. It's not going to be possible. It's not, so his agent kind of turned it down. But Alice seemed really excited about it, and getting to go and hook up with CJ and Tom and everyone again. So after that was done and I walked away, I was walking back into the main room to go say hi to CJ again, let him know how the conversation went with Alice. And I walked by Tom Matthews' table there. And he's like, hey, Jason, what's going on? And so I said, hey, you know what? Let's talk. And he said, sure, what's up? And so I told him just straight up, I'm like, here's the deal. I have Vengeance. We know we're almost a part of that one. I'm making a second movie, which he knows. I said, I've got two choices. One, I can bring you back, like I said, bring you back and you're a hero. Or I can have to kill you off and they have to find your body. I said, I've already got the severed head for you, just in case we have to go that direction. We've got two endings written. And then I said, and I really don't want to do that. I said, I'd rather have you in it. I said, so many fans love Vengeance. They want to see where it's going to go. The fans, a lot of fans have said they consider it canon, especially to Part 6. And they really like the story and where we've gone with it. I really want to come through for them. And he said, all right, well, let's do it. Let's work together. And he gave me his information, contact, and then we just started emailing. I sent him the script. He read it. He liked it. He asked to have a little bit bigger part, became an executive producer, and we went from there. And just, it was great.
Was there ever anybody in the that in Vengeance or Vengeance 2 that you wanted to put in there, but you couldn't get them to come on?
Yeah. So originally, when we started writing the first versions of the script, David Howard Thornton and Felissa Rose were part of it. They both wanted to be in it. And then as we got time to film, timing didn't work out. They were both working on a film together at that time, and both became unavailable while we were filming. So we had to replace them. And so Peter Anthony, he reached out to Darcy DeMoss and brought Darcy to come back as Nikki. And then we got Richie Ramone to replace the David Howard Thornton role.
Yeah, he's one of my top ones that I want to talk to.
Peter wants us to have Jason show us the Tommy Jarvis severed rotten head.
All right, hold on.
And thank you, Peter, and also
Thanks,
Kyle
Jason.
Flett from Return of the Living Flett that are here watching the show. Thank you, guys. Oh, wow.
There we go.
Nice.
So, this is what could have been.
That is so sweet, man.
Yeah. So that's what the girls would have found if Tom Matthews had decided that he wasn't able to do it, which I think we're very grateful that he decided to join us. Obviously, with reviews, everyone, the fans are really grateful as well. So I'm glad that worked out.
Now, here's a question for you. With how Terrifier 2 did in theaters.
Yeah.
If you were able to, would you have put Vengeance 2 in theaters?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I think
Do you think it would have been a huge success?
I would hope so. I mean, it's been such a long time since there's been a Friday the 13th out in the theaters that I think that no matter what, it would have been a success. Whether people knew about Tommy or not, or whatever, people would jump to go see it, and I think it would have been fantastic. A lot of
Yeah.
the comments are saying it should have been in the theaters, which is very, very humbling, very nice.
I asked Peter this earlier. I asked him how many awards Roseblood had, and he said somewhere around like 24, something like that. And I said, so how many does Vengeance 2 have? And he said about somewhere around 45.
Yeah, we're at 40 right now, and we have another several, about 5 more that we've been told will have an award. We just haven't heard what it won yet, whether it's best feature, best costumes, makeup, direction, acting, whatever. So we're waiting to hear back on those. But it's been selected for another 24 film festivals, I think.
Wow.
And as an official selection. So we stopped putting the selections up just because the awards were starting to come in. It would have been a little silly. So we're only posting awards at this point.
Yeah, because one day I'm looking, you had a few, selections up there, and then next thing you know, it's almost the whole picture, and then you had to use another picture. And
yeah, it's very, very cool. Very cool.
Now, when you and Peter were face to face there,
Yeah.
How many takes did that take without somebody laughing?
Without laughing?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. We had a great time on set, so we were always laughing for one thing or another. But we did, I don't know. Hard to remember. We did several takes just at different angles. Cody, the director of photography, he was trying to get some different styles. He did one that was really cool where he walked all the way around us while we're face to face and fighting. But because of the location we were at, there was some stuff in the background that we wouldn't have been able to show. It would have taken you out of the moment, so we couldn't use that. But we did, we did probably 5 or 6 different versions of it.
Peter said I almost threw up
from him
with you choking him.
Oh yeah, I mean, he told me to choke him, and so I did. He's, and then he, after the take and stuff, he was kind of gagging a little bit and said I got him a little bit too hard, but that's what he gets for saying to choke him, I guess.
I'm gonna take you back to the beginning because I got Steven on this one earlier. So did you lose a bet to make the penis that big?
Did I lose a bet to make it that big?
Yeah, because I was laughing when I seen it in the beginning. I'm like, wow, to die like that.
Yeah, no. So here's the story on that. Diana Prince, who Darcy the Mail Girl, she was in that scene as well. She's already kind of announced this publicly, and it's been announced several other times. That here we go. That is an actual life cast of me. So that is my penis. And the museum that we're talking about donating it to, the actual museum in Iceland heard about this. They contacted me and they said they actually want to put it in the museum. So I am flying out the day after tomorrow to go to Iceland to go deliver the cast of my penis and a display with some stills and stuff from the movie to actually put in the museum in Iceland. And they're going to give me and Louis Carlisle, my character, a lifetime honorary membership, a medal, a plaque, all kinds of stuff. So,
shit. Good Lord. Yeah, I just thought that was on the only. That was the only nudity in part 2. I'm like, well, it didn't normally. Friday the 13th. I think nudity all the time. Yep. So, but yours was it was the first movie I've seen in a while that did not need it.
And well, we had Darcy in there, which I think is great. That Diana Prince, she was in the same room next to me, topless and nude. But it's because of the autopsy, the makeup, and the autopsy scarring and everything. It didn't come across as like nudity or the whole thing wasn't like sexualized, which I think was great. Because I was really trying to avoid nudity. Some of the other versions of the script, I had a co-writer, Kim Terrison, who wrote, and she added some stuff in because she's like, there's certain rules to follow. There's certain things that you want to put into these movies for Friday the 13th. And boobs are a big one. And so she put a lot of that in there, but I kept taking it out because I'm like, I'm not going to be that guy, that director that puts in all the, boob.
If it's not necessary. Right.
Yeah. And so, so we cut that down, cut it out. And and the morgue scene was the only place where we had anything like that.
Yeah, well, the rest of the time you had Jason killing everybody. So
Yeah.
Oh, that highway or on the road scene, that was a great way. Like me and Mark said before we did this, it was like we both said, when we seen that scene, how is this gonna work? Because it had never been done where Jason just goes up to a road and goes ham on people. And then of course Darcy, she comes out of an RV, and I'm thinking, oh my god, if she dies in an RV again, or if she's in an RV and gets attacked again, it's like, oh god.
I loved her kill.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, even when you choke out the woman with the intestines and all that was pretty good too.
Thank you. Yeah, that one was made up on the spot. That's where we had our backers who paid to be in the film, our contest winners and all that. They were part of the roadblock. So we were on set and trying to decide what to do. And that one was one of those, like, okay, well, I can punch in, grab, pull some guts out, and then how do we kill this person? And so what if I just take the guts and wrap it around her neck and choke her? And everyone's like, oh no. I'm like, okay, perfect. Then if you guys are all repulsed by that, that's the right answer. So
I think you had some of the best kills in there compared to, some of the other Friday the 13th movies.
Thank you.
I think you had some great kills.
Thank you. Yeah, we worked really hard on those, planned them out, and did quite a bit. We had a great makeup team to help support that and make them happen.
Go ahead, Mark.
When's the DVDs going to ship?
We're working on the behind the scenes stuff right now. I got a guy who's doing a documentary that we're going to include. We're working on some featurettes to go over with some interviews from some of the cast and crew, talking about the makeup effects, the kills, doing the morgue, like talking to some, because it was filmed in a real morgue. So I want to bring some of those people in to talk about their experience, because they were the extras that were in the background. Those are the real people. And just, add some content so that you're not just getting the movie on a disc. I really want to give something special and something more. So we're taking a little bit of time with that to get it all together. So we're still a few months out.
Yeah. The only way that I could get it was if I bought both of them together. So you got my money.
Nice. Thank you so much for supporting it.
Oh, I couldn't help it. I'm going to add it in with my rest of my Friday the 13th. And then I got to still buy Roseblood, but I got to wait for that one.
Oh,
I'm going to add that into it when I'm watching them. That's what I'm going to be watching, like right with it.
Perfect.
So how much was that process from 1 to Vengeance 2? Was it like months after Vengeance came out, or was it kind of like, okay, now we did 1, let's go ahead and do 2 now?
After the first Vengeance came out, we all really needed a break. It's just been a lot. And then we started hearing about it. So it probably about 3 to 4 months before we finally committed and said, all right, let's start writing.
Hi, Sandy.
Sandy, what's up? How you doing?
I'm still trying to get the hang of all this podcasting stuff. So if you guys see messages pop in and out,
I just happen to see. Yeah.
So, but like, I guess what my question was that now that you did 2, is there gonna be a third act? I'm sure we got to kill Jason now.
Oh, he's in the ground, right? We got him with the pole and the lightning, and
I mean, yeah, that is true. They did do the homage of what was that, 6, where he stabs him with the thing and he gets electrocuted back to life.
Yeah.
That's
that was the hard part, was deciding how to kill Jason in this. Without, you want to kill Jason without killing him, and that's the big tough problem that a lot of writers have. And I called Tom McLaughlin, writer director Part 6 too, and a few times, like, how would you do this? What would you do? And he's like, that's what everyone's question is how do you do it? And he didn't have any ideas either. We just went back and forth on a couple of things, and then I ordered some props from and I always forget the name because they're all a lot of these prop places are very similar names, so I don't want to say the wrong one. But ordered an axe and some things. And he said, hey, I've got one of these Part 6 poles here that I can ship you two if you want it, if you want to get that. So I was like, yeah, I'd love that. So I gave him the money for all the stuff. He sent the pole, and as I was just waiting for it to come in the mail, I had the thought, like, wait a minute. What if I take this pole, which I was not planning to use in the movie, because I really thought I'm just going to keep it for my own collection because it looks cool. He does amazing work. Horror effects costumes. That's what it was. Thank you, Peter. I knew you'd have my back on that. But horror effects costumes, they do amazing work. And he sent that. And when I got it, I just knew I was going to use that to kill him. Like, that's how it brought him back in this world. That's what's going to take him out. It has the supernatural element to it, being hit by lightning. That brought him back. We'll do the same thing to take him out. And that way it kills him, but it leaves it open for any future people that want to take it forward.
Now, whose idea was it to bring Elias actually all into it? I know that Elias was supposed to show up in a movie and stuff, but to help Jason that whole time, basically, whose idea was that?
Well, originally, it was the ending of Part 6 that was supposed to have it. So if you watch Vengeance, the first few minutes of Vengeance in the graveyard, that was supposed to be the ending of Part 6. And we talked to Tom McLaughlin, Jeremy Brown, the director, talked to him and said, hey, we really want to do an Elias story. And we want to start the film with how you were intending Part 6 to end. And he said, yeah. And we said, we'd love for you to be the gravekeeper as well. And he agreed. So that's what you're referencing. That was that. And the way we came about it was the director, Jeremy Brown, he'd always wanted to do the Elias story, but we didn't have it in our first iteration. And when we decided to take it from a short to a full feature, we were talking about, like, well, what do we do? How do we expand this? And I said, well, why don't we tell your Elias story and add that to it, and then that'll make it full. And he said, yeah, but who do you get to play Elias? Because it has to be someone good. It has to be someone important that people will actually gravitate towards, be imposing. And I was like, well, how about CJ Graham? How perfect would that be, that he's the Jason of Part 6, and now he's the father of Jason in this continuation of 6? And he's like, we're just going to write to CJ and ask him? I said, yes. So he had a couple beers. He wrote to CJ, and CJ wrote back, and he was in. So
he was a great Elias. He was a dick in it, and it was perfect. He was perfect.
Yeah. I'm so glad we got to use him.
He reminded me like the Elias off of the comic book Pamela Tales. And he was a dick altogether.
So was now that we did have the all the main characters from 6 come back, was there and we've talked about possibly a 3, would you ever want to bring in like any more characters if you ever did do a Vengeance 3, or would you want to bring in, like, let's say Michael?
For me, in the Vengeance series specifically, I think I would not do a crossover. I think I'd keep it pure to Part 6 and what that was intended to be, because it's kind of, I feel like I need to be respectful to Tom McLaughlin's vision.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he ever thought of Michael Myers being a part of that. So
that's Part 7, Roseblood and stuff. That's for that.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be more than happy to do more Roseblood work and have Michael and whoever else in there. But with the story we told, the Tommy Jarvis story, I'd prefer to keep it around them. But again, there's no plans for Part 3. And
now, was there ever a scene that you wanted to do, but you guys ended up just scrapping it all together?
Yeah, there was a lot that ended up on the cutting room floor. There was a whole scene where the frat boys and the stripper girls, when they got together in the woods, before they met their end, they were walking through the woods and they came across an old creepy house. It was supposed to be like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing, and they're looking for someplace to hide. They get in there, it's all creepy and dark. And when they finally get the lights on, you find out that it was Louis Carlisle's house. and we'd have a bunch of funny kind of redneck jokes and stuff in there and different things. So that would have been a lot of fun to play with. And so we filmed some of it, but in the end, it kind of took us away from the main storyline. It took us away from our heroes, and we didn't have all the props and gags that I really wanted to sell it. So I just felt like, that was something that could go, but that would have been fun to do. It'll be in the behind the scenes. We're going to add that as well. So.
Oh, that's good. Cause I could have came and done a redneck, I'm from Florida.
I spent quite a bit of time in Texas and Puyallup down here and in Washington, and so I've got it in my blood.
No, Mark, you can't be in a movie just to get killed off. You tried with Peter. He said no.
That's always going to be my plan. I'm eventually going to find somebody that wants to kill me off. That's not my wife.
That's funny, because that is the thing. A lot of people will write me and say, "Hey, put me in your movie, please. I'll do anything. I'll even just die. Just kill me. I'll do anything." And I'm like, but that's what everybody requests. Everybody wants to die in that.
When you guys put that up for for the casting roles and stuff and the bid on it and stuff, I told my wife, I said, well, if we get it, we're going to if I can do this, we're going to go to Washington. And she goes, oh, cool. But then somebody did it, and I'm like, oh man.
That would be the coolest part of being a part of that, though, is just having people that would be like, hey, we just want to be dead in the movie. Yeah. I mean, that's got to be pretty cool to hear something like that, is that, people don't want to be like, oh, I want to be the one to take on Jason and make me look strong and all that. It's like, nope, just want to die.
Just want to die. Everybody wants a cool guy.
Yeah, Peter's the only one that wanted to stand up to Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah, see what happened
to him.
No, yeah. But you know what? To speak to that, you said, Peter wanted to stand up to Jason. He wanted to, Peter's a big guy. He's tough. He's strong, and he wanted to stand up to Jason. But he also wanted to make sure that Jason was way more powerful. That Jason would, kick his ass, and it'd be right. Not to show Peter getting up on Jason or being stronger, more powerful, anything like that. So Peter's very respectful. He's very respectful to the Jason character in that way.
Oh yeah. I told him that I wanted to see him dressed up as Jason. He says he's too short.
Yeah, he is. That's in response to a text I just got from him. So,
are you going to take that, Peter?
You're going to what? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait. He'll get me back on that one. So, I mean, I can't complain. I'm like way shorter than everybody. So.
Yeah, if Mark ever got to play Jason, they'd have to give him a stepladder just to make him scary. What was your favorite kill to do?
Oh man, it's hard. That's oh, here we go. So my favorite kill, I've got several of them, and I think the one that keeps standing out to me is I'm flip-flopping, but the Courtney kill at the fence where I pick her up, slam her down, pull her spine out.
That's the one I was talking about earlier.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
Yeah, that's the one that I spent a lot of time making that, getting ready for it and stuff, and then executing it. And Jacqueline, who played the character, she was into it, and she's like, I told her not to hold back, just go and let's fight and let's do it. And she didn't. She did everything she could to get away, and she'd kick and punch and hit. She went for it full sail. So I think that one turned out really good. And I really like, at the end, the Deputy Forster. It wasn't my kill, it was Elias, but that was a really cool one with the cross to the head.
We got one question. If you could bring back any actors, who would it be? If you had that choice to bring back any others?
Oh man, all of them. They all did great. It's like it's really hard. It's when you write this and you cast these people and then they die and they go home. It's like, damn, I want to keep working with them again. And so future projects definitely going to be reaching out to work with them again. But for this movie, it'd be cool to bring back Darcy, and not have killed her off completely this time. But there's not anyone that I wouldn't want to bring back.
I was afraid when she said that she had to, when she learned all those things, like, I think she said she learned like MMA or Muay Thai in the movie. And I was like, oh, you watch, she's going to get a few good kicks in on Jason. And just how she was able to fight back a little bit was even good. I mean, it wasn't like the boxing one and Jason Takes Manhattan where he's got to hit Jason and Jason's got to fall back a little bit, or even what we would see in, I know it's not any part of Friday the 13th or Vengeance, but what we saw in Halloween Resurrection with Buster Rhymes karate kicking Michael. At least we didn't get that.
Right. And and also Darcy did her own stunts throughout that entire thing. So like picking her up by the neck and throwing her into the thing and all jumping on like a little spider monkey and running around. She did everything, herself. And I think it was a lot of fun. So as far as Vengeance 2, I think it'd be Darcy. If we're doing Roseblood, I think I would love to work with Terry again. Terry was a phenomenal person to work with and be in the same room. He's just got energy. It's amazing. And Lar standing across from her, being her Jason in that.
Oh hell! Oh yeah.
That was insane.
When he picked when she told me about, when Peter told me that he got her, that was like, wow. And then when I was talking to Steven, I was like, well, Jason's going to come out and do the promotional thing with Darcy DeMoss. And he's like, oh, damn. Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. No, Darcy's great.
To get someone back from a movie where they never show her being put in an ambulance, so we didn't know if she survived or not. So when you get this, and when I asked her during that interview, it's kind of like what they did with Jamie Lee Curtis. They bring her back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Granted, I think Darcy did a better job than what Jamie Lee Curtis did in the Halloween franchise. And no, Darcy, if you're listening, I'm not trying to pump the air into the balloon or anything, but I think you did a better job. I think it was written better, and I think having her, when we had you guys on before, talk about it and coming back to that role, I think it was special not only for her but for the fans that were like, wait, wasn't she dead? Didn't she had her face smashed in? And
yeah, well, I asked Peter on that one. I said, okay, if Darcy is alive in this one, how? And he I said, without telling me, sort of tell me. He goes, well, nobody ever seen her die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought her head, when she got smashed up into the wall and stuff, I thought she was dead there, though. Yeah.
Well, when the RV rolls over, it starts on fire. So if that wouldn't have killed her, you thought the fire would have. But at some point, I'm sure like I said in that movie, you never know how quickly the cops get there to see the RV where it's at. So anything possibly could have happened, or she could have, as soon as Jason's gone, could have gotten out herself and got help.
Absolutely.
Anything could happen.
The last thing I need to say on that one is just to go back to the Vengeance one. Obviously, Steve Dash, to bring him back to work with him, it would have been amazing to have him as the police officer in Vengeance 2 to carry it on, being the sheriff and everything. That just to have him back to work with him again would be amazing. So
I love what you guys did at the end for him.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
I loved it when Tommy said the original Jason, and then it sort of pointed over to it, I think I said that right.
Yeah, we knew from the beginning that we would have to, not have to. We knew from the beginning that I wanted to do a memorial at the end, and I wanted it to be something for the character that died, but also we all know that we're talking about Steve, and it's not just the character. And I wanted that dual dual meaning there. So that was something from the very beginning. And then luckily, we were able to get Steve Dash's grandson, David, to play young Jason in the beginning of the film. So to carry on that legacy of the sackhead Jason from part 2, and just bookend the entire movie with Steve and his family. It just felt right.
Yeah, I'd seen. I think you were talking about it, and I think Peter talks about it too. He said that was just, a great feeling, just having it all do a 180 or 360. Having that just alone. His grandson doing it. He said that was just an awesome feeling.
It was magical. It was a memorable lifetime moment.
And that's the cool thing about how much these actors that play these parts mean to a lot of people. He'll never be forgotten. And the way you memorialized him, like Mark said, was you couldn't have done it any better. I mean, it really did show that you guys were a family in this, in a way that and it was emotional. Like you said, you wish you could have had him for Vengeance 2, but you did a good memorial job. And we got another question. What's one tiny?
Hold on.
As a matter of fact, that right there, that shadow box is Steve's uniform from the first one, Gold Machete. That's my personal memorial to Steve that I have on my wall in my office at all times. That
is pretty cool.
Space is dedicated.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I like that. What was the question?
Yeah, what's the other question?
Oh, the question was, what's one tiny thing you would clue us in on? Forget the past. What about the future?
The future.
You see, these guys are asking the questions that I was getting ready to ask.
Yeah. So for the future, there's a lot. We're getting away from the fan films, and we're moving towards some original IPs. We have, I just counted them up recently, and we have like nine different films that we're working on, with more to come. And so a couple are shorts, and most are features. We have sci-fi things, we've got horror things, some dramas, some action. So it's going to be pretty exciting over the next couple of years.
What is going to be the next movie that you guys are going to work? Sorry about that. What is the next movie that you guys are looking forward to working towards?
Sure. So the next one that I know of, we're going to start filming here in January, is called Hitman for the Holidays. And it's basically, assassin hitman movie kind of stuck in a Hallmark movie. So that's kind of funny. And it'll be written and directed by Cody Newton, who was our DP on Vengeance 2.
I mean, I might actually watch that one. I don't watch holiday movies very much.
Yeah. No, it'll be fun. It's gonna be fun. Cody's an amazing writer and director, and he knows how to make movies for sure.
If it's a Hallmark movie, I already know my wife she'll want to watch it.
Oh, it's not gonna be a Hallmark movie, but it'll be a hitman movie kind of trapped inside of one. So it'll be a funny.
She'll watch it. It's probably got a love story somewhere in there.
Yep.
She's watching Hallmark stuff as I speak right now. Ever since Peacock announced that it was going to be on there, it's just like, oh, good Lord. And the torture now.
That's why I have 2 TVs.
Oh, so do I. But still, I got to look over, and it's just like, oh, Christmas movies right now. It's like, put on some Silent Night, Deadly Night, and then I'll watch it. But
my wife doesn't like that one. She says it's, she said it was just dumb. I said, man, gosh.
So is there any other horror movies that you'd like to tackle? Would you like to do a Halloween? Would you like to do a Nightmare? Possibly.
I mean, if it was a non-fan film, absolutely. The fan films, the thing with that is that it's a lot of time, it's a lot of money, a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And once it's out there, it's a big drain without, getting any money back for the money you spent. And it's just kind of there as like, hey, look what we did, which has been phenomenal for us. And we appreciate, kind of building up the fan base and getting our work out there and getting it recognized and seen. But we also we'd like to bring some new things to the horror world, and that people might enjoy, as much or more. So
I like I told Peter when we interviewed him, I said, I think Hollywood is missing out on the creativeness that you, Jason Brooks, and Peter both have. I mean, if I'm Hollywood, I'm calling right now.
A lot of the fan films for Friday the 13th, people should watch just because that they're actually, some of them are even better than some of the originals. And how they followed it, you see some people they're fan of the movies, but they don't realize, they don't listen to all of it. Like asking them who's Jason's dad. There's some people that don't even know that.
Yeah,
and they just know Jason and Pamela, and that's it.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's casual fans and there's hardcore fans and all that. And
okay, here's one. And Peter brought this one up, and this one I want to see. Now he said most. About 90% of horror fans are actually wrestling fans too. Do you watch wrestling?
I did in the 80s. I was a big WWF guy and WWE, and but then just kind of got away from it after a while and stepped away. So
yeah, I went to WrestleMania 3 and been hooked ever since.
Are you excited for the new Friday the 13th series?
Yeah, I mean, I'm unsure. I'm kind of hold my excitement and stuff until I see it, because I don't want to build myself up and be disappointed, and because I would tend to do that. So I think I'm just going to wait and see what it is.
I mean, Steven's been going back and forth saying, well, if they're doing a prequel to it, are they going to like go back and forth, past the present, stuff like that, or if they're just going to play it like Bates Motel.
Yeah, I've heard the comparison to that also.
Well, I think you can only slow burn it for so long. I mean, Friday the 13th, yeah, Pamela was a big part of it, but also you're like Mark said early on, and I'll even say this, we haven't had a Friday the 13th project like a movie or anything since that lawsuit happened. And now that it's ended, us hardcore fans were like, come on now, we want all this now, we're ready for it, so. And if you would have put Vengeance 1, 2, Roseblood, any of them in the theaters, people would have went and seen it.
For sure.
I mean, anyone that said they wouldn't, they'd be kidding themselves. To wait this long for a property to come back, if it's not dead, then hopefully this Peacock thing works out for them. I'm like you, Jason, where I'm not getting my hopes up too much. They got a 2-season deal anyway, so they got that type of commitment, but I think they got to bring in Jason right away. I mean,
they could start off with Jason's face looking out over the pond or lake, and then him thinking back. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a different vibe for sure without Jason in it. So I imagine that they would, depending on if they have a 2-season deal, if season 1 is not as successful as they're hoping, I could see them trying to sneak Jason in here and there to start getting some interest. But
I enjoyed the Chucky series, and I watched that. Me and my daughter watches that together, and I didn't think I was going to like it at first, but it got on to me, and I like it now.
Yeah.
Were there any injuries to you or any of the cast members in Vengeance Part 2?
Part 2, yes. I had 2 broken ribs.
Oof.
Different days, different months. But the final battle in the church with the girls, where I've got the sledgehammer around Angelica's neck, and she starts climbing up the church podium and then jumps back, and we land on the ground. When we landed, her shoulder kind of landed into my rib, and it broke my rib on the right side.
Ouch.
And then we had to finish out that whole fight for another 8 hours or so. And so that whole scene, for the most part, I'm fighting them with a broken rib. But I've broken a rib before, so I know that if I go to the hospital, they're not going to be able to do much. So I just kind of went in.
Tape it up and pray to God.
Tape it up, and so I went in another day or so later just to make sure nothing was internally injured, because I got scolded from the doctor saying you could puncture a lung and that could be bad. So next time come in right away. But I'm like, all right, usually there's not much they can do except for tell you to go take some ibuprofen and swelling down or whatever. And then at the end, several months later, we're doing pickups when Angelica jumps out of the truck and runs at me with a knife, slams me down, and starts stabbing me over and over again. I was actually wearing some protective gear underneath the suit because of the truck hit. So I was tumbling over and over again when the truck, hit, doing that several times. So I was wearing some protective gear for my spine and chest. And I told her, I said, just go for it. I got these plates in here, no big deal. And it's the only time I'm wearing them in the entire film was for that exact scene. And I didn't want to take the costume off and go take the pads off and whatever. So I said, just jump, start stabbing, whatever. And she did. She went for it. And she's a strong girl. And she got that knife, which has got a plastic handle, and was able to stab me over and over, but kind of missed the armor at one spot, and went underneath and popped a rib. And it didn't break the bone. It separated the bone from the cartilage up front and popped that in. So as soon as that happened and I felt the pop and heard it, I was like, oh, we're done. I think we got the shot. And we did. So, then just finished out the rest of that scene with it. So yeah, that was the only real injuries I think on Vengeance 2.
So was it always that Tommy would get the final jab in to Jason, or was it going to be one of the daughters doing it? Was there ever going to be a passing of the torch moment, so to speak?
Yeah, good question. In the version, of course, where Tommy was dead, the girls would have killed him. It would have been the younger one, and using not strength necessarily, but more smarts.
Yeah.
And then when we got Tommy on, before he even read the script, he said, one thing I would like to do is I'd like to be the one to kill Jason. We're like, of course. So we modified it to make sure that he had that. And we didn't even have our full ending yet. Like I hadn't decided how Jason was going to die at that point. Just knew that he would. So, but we knew that Tommy would deliver that final blow. And we knew we wanted to have the girls participating in that, make it kind of a family affair, and put some closure on that. So
was there ever, besides if Tommy was there or if he wasn't, if he was dead or alive, was there any other alternate ending that you had thought of that you thought could play out?
Oh yeah. We had several. One of the other alternate endings was going to be Megan, maybe getting Megan a part of it, and then having the Courtney character reaching out, or Tommy reaching out, getting a hold of the other final girls, and having Adrian King and Amy Steele and all that, having them be a part of it, and they all show up, potentially even Lar, and just having those girls kind of walk in, and then they all fight Jason rather than just Tommy. So that was another one. Another one was kind of similar, just different locations, but yeah.
How long did the filming take?
I think it was about 24 days in total, including the pickups. We did a week in June. We took a week off. Then we got back on it for another week in July. And then that was our principal photography. Then we wrapped. Then we came back another month later, did a few days with the whole cat and mouse scene in the in that wood sawmill place, and then another few days, several months later, with the morgue and Peter's fight scene and all that.
So I'm just sort of curious, when you come up with the kill for these for the characters,
Mhm.
do you sit there and throw a dart at a board and see, oh, that's how they die?
No, there's certain things I'm thinking, like effects that I'd like to make and stuff like the spine ripping. I'm like, that would be kind of cool to do that, and I think I can pull it off. And so I want to challenge myself to see if I can make it. So I did, and then I just start playing the scene in my head, and I start thinking, okay, Jason is in this environment. What is available to him? What can he do? What would he do? The fire one, I knew that I wanted Jason's costume to be altered and have like holes burnt through and stuff and showing and stuff, or have it be different than the first film. So how could that happen? It's like, okay, a fire, so maybe he kills someone by shoving him in the fire. And then one thing I like to do is take something like the pickaxe or the chainsaw and say, how do we kill someone with that? That's not normal. Like, obviously you take a pickaxe, you swing it and kill someone, but how can we change that up? So slam it in the tree and push the head on. And then how do you use the chainsaw? Because I don't want Jason running around with a chainsaw like Leatherface, killing people. So slam it down and like use it to push the head down onto the saw. The bow and arrow, like I don't think of Jason as having, aim and, knowing how to use the bow and arrow necessarily. So I would think of him as just blunt force. Like he would stab someone, choke someone with a string on the bow or something like that, stab the arrows in. And so that's why he did the arrows stabbing him through the thing rather than, shooting him or whatever. So I just try to put a little bit of a spin or something different on it and not have it be the obvious choice. Unless it comes to the machete, then he knows how to use the machete to stab and cut and whatever.
One more question before we let you go. How did COVID affect the entire franchise, like starting this venture? Was there any problems with COVID or?
Oh yeah,
like that?
COVID. It's obviously a big pain in the ass, and for health reasons and for protocol, we had to hire a COVID officer. There had to be like mandatory check-ins. We all did COVID tests. I bought a shit ton of COVID tests that we had on site so that when people came in, they'd take them. And a couple people, got COVID. They couldn't come to set, so they had to go. Someone tested false positive. They had to go to the hospital before they got to set. And the guy who picked him up from the airport had to go. Then we had to wait 1 or 2 days. So we had to reschedule his whole scene and stuff and figure things out. And then he came back. It was negative. It was fine. It's just that he had COVID prior, but was still testing positive much later. So one of those deals. And then, sign in, temperature checks all the time, masks. It was it's a lot. It's a lot to kind of consider and bring on while you're already busy making a film and everything.
Well, all I gotta say from us fans to you, Jason Brooks, also to the cast and crew, and to Peter Anthony, we want to give you a big round of applause. Thank you for what you gave us, and hopefully we can get more. Hopefully Hollywood calls you guys, and we can get better horror films. But like you always say, you can't hold your breath with Hollywood because they're still trying to make old stuff better nowadays. I mean, look what they just did with Halloween, the big letdown with Ends. But if they ever call you,
we'll pick up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for coming back on. It
Of
means
course.
a lot
Thank
to
you.
us. All right,
have a good
everyone.
night.
That is Jason Brooks, and we'll talk to you later, sir.
All right. See ya.
A little later.
Well, everyone, that was the interview with the legendary Jason Brooks. Hopefully we got to all your questions. Still a little bit new to all this, having the questions show up and comments show up. We're very excited to have him back on here. So I don't know if Mark, if you had all your questions answered, I know I did.
Yeah.
So join us
Thursday.
Thursday. Yep. Kyle from his podcast, which is or YouTube channel, which is Return of the Living Flat. He will be on here, and we will be doing. What are we doing that day, Mark?
We're gonna rank horror killers, since you won't let me do serial killers.
Oh, stop it.
We're gonna rank them 10 through 1 and see. I think it'll be surprising on who we all pick on 1 through 10.
God, that's scary. I have to think of 10 horror movie serial killers.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have my daughter make a list of hers. Boy, I could just imagine that one. 'Cause she sits there and watches horror movies all over the place. So I mean, Liberty, she's my horror buddy.
Yeah. But we just want to thank the fans that and guests that came here to give us questions and also comments. Couldn't have done this without you. Thank you for all the love and support. Also to Jason Brooks for being on the show, for him, Peter Anthony, the cast and crew, creating such a great masterpiece with their fan films, Vengeance 1, Vengeance 2, and Roseblood. Hopefully, Hollywood will call them and they can bring their craft to bring Jason back on the big screen, or bring Michael back, or bring Freddy back. Who knows?
I'd like to see Jason Brooks play Jason in a movie on the big screen.
That'd be pretty cool. Have Peter Anthony play Michael.
Yeah, he's one of my. He's right there in my top 3. Of course, Kane Hodder's always going to be in 1.
So I think that's it from us tonight. Again, I am Steven. That is Mark, and we want to say thank you and goodbye. Bye, Mark.
Later.
Gotta end the broadcast.